The walls were closing in. At least that's what Marcus thought. His chest pounded, breath coming in short, sharp gasps. The sound of his own heartbeat echoed louder than the guard's boots outside his cell. He had been staring at the same white wall for days, no weeks, maybe months. Time didn't make sense anymore in the SHU. Then it happened. Marcus started laughing, loud, wild, unstoppable laughter. He didn't even know why. He laughed until tears burned his eyes, until his throat went raw. Then the laughter turned into screaming. He slammed his fists against the wall until his knuckles split open. "You won't break me," he shouted at no one. Or maybe at the voice that had started whispering to him again. The voice was back. "Rule number 3, it said, calm and clear inside his mind. "Don't talk to the walls, they listen." Marcus froze. He pressed his ear against the concrete, trembling. And then he heard it. A faint scratching sound from inside the wall. Something, or someone, was there. He backed away, heart pounding so hard it hurt. The scratching grew louder, closer, faster, until a chunk of paint fell off the wall and he saw letters forming in the dust. "Survive the rules. Or join the others." Marcus stumbled backward, tripping over his mattress. His pulse raced, his eyes wide with terror. He could almost hear whispers crawling through the cracks now. And then, as if someone, or something, was right there with him in the cell, a deep voice said his name. "Marcus." He froze. The lights flickered, and the cell went pitch black. To understand what led Marcus to this moment, we have to go back to the beginning. Marcus Reed had never planned to end up in solitary. But life inside Ironwood Correctional Facility had its own rules he didn't learn fast enough. He came in on a 10-year sentence for armed robbery. He wasn't a gang member, not a killer, just a kid who made the wrong choice. But prison didn't care who you were before. Inside it was all about survival, and the SHU, this special housing unit, was where men either broke or built steel inside their minds. His first week in general population was rough. Everyone watched him like a hawk. The guards, the gangs, even the quiet ones who never spoke. Marcus tried to stay out of trouble, but trouble had a way of finding new guys. One morning, during chow, a fight broke out between 2 inmates over a stolen tray. Marcus tried to back away, but when a guard grabbed the wrong man, chaos exploded. He was slammed to the ground, handcuffed, and dragged off before he could even speak. "SHU time," the guard had said, almost smiling. "Enjoy the box." That's how it started. The door shut with a clang that rattled his bones. The first few days weren't too bad. He counted the tiles, sang to himself, did push-ups, tried to keep his mind busy. But by the end of the first week, he began to feel it, the silence pressing down on him like a heavy weight. He missed sound, missed light, missed voices. Then came the knocking. Soft, steady, coming from the next cell. Marcus pressed his ear to the wall. "Yo," he whispered. No answer. The next day the knocking came again. 3 taps, pause, 2 taps. It became a rhythm, almost like a code. Marcus tried to reply, copying the pattern. But when he did, the knocking stopped completely. Later that night, a guard slipped a tray of food through the slot. Marcus looked down and froze. Scratched into the side of the plastic was a message. "Don't answer the walls." He felt cold all over. The next day the voice started. At first it sounded like his own thoughts echoing. But soon, it became something else. Something whispering the rules of survival one by one. "Rule number 1, it said, never stare too long at the corners. That's where the shadows live." "Rule number 2, it murmured later, if you hear your name and no one's there, don't answer." Marcus stopped sleeping. He started talking back to the voice just to hear another sound. But the more he spoke, the louder it got. The walls began to move, or maybe his mind did. On his 14th day, he woke up to find words scratched on his wall in something that looked like rust. He leaned close, heart hammering, and read the words aloud. "The rules keep you alive. Break them and you disappear." He backed away slowly, panic rising in his chest. The air felt heavy, almost alive. And then, a whisper came from right behind him, though no one was there. "You broke rule number 2. Marcus spun around, eyes wide, just as the lights flickered and a shadow moved across the cell. Marcus's breath caught in his throat. The shadow slid across the wall, twisting and stretching like smoke. He pressed himself into the corner, every muscle tight. His heart hammered so loud he thought the guards might hear it from the hallway. But no one came. He stared at the moving darkness until it vanished, leaving behind only silence, and that silence was somehow worse. He didn't know if he had really seen it or if his mind had finally cracked. When the lights flickered back on, the words on the wall had changed. 3 rules broken. 1 chance left. Marcus's knees gave out. He slumped onto the cold floor, clutching his head. He didn't remember breaking any rules. He had just tried to survive. That's all he wanted, to survive the SHU. He started counting again, anything to stay focused. 1, 2, 3, but when he reached 20, the number stopped making sense. The walls were whispering again. Voices, soft, different this time. More than one. Join us. Join us. Join us. He covered his ears. Stop. Please. Then suddenly the slot on the door slid open. A tray clattered onto the floor. Marcus didn't move. The guard's hand lingered on the metal for a moment, tapping, 3 short knocks. The same pattern from before. He froze. That was the code. The one from the walls. Marcus's breathing turned shallow. He looked toward the food tray. On it, written in thick black marker, were 4 words. Keep your mind clean. He didn't know what it meant, but he was starving. His hands trembled as he reached for the bread, and then he saw it. Under the bread was a folded note. He opened it slowly, afraid it would vanish if he blinked. Read. I was here too. Don't listen to them. The walls lie. The handwriting was shaky, desperate. The note looked old, like it had been passed down through the years from one inmate to another. Maybe everyone who came through here got it at some point. Maybe they all thought they could outsmart the SHU. That night, Marcus tried to ignore the whispers. He recited the alphabet over and over. He thought of his mom, of the sunlight on the street he grew up on. But the darkness didn't care. At 2 a.m. he heard his name again. Marcus. He clenched his eyes shut. He wouldn't answer. Not this time. Marcus. It was softer now. Almost kind. Marcus, it's me. Your mom. His eyes shot open. The voice was perfect. It sounded exactly like her, gentle, worried, loving. He could almost see her face. His throat tightened. Mom? He whispered before he could stop himself. The silence that followed was thick and heavy. Then came a deep hiss from the corner of the cell. You shouldn't have done that. The air grew colder. The light above him dimmed again, buzzing weakly. The shadows on the wall began to twist like ink in water. He could see faces in them now, men's faces, each one twisted in pain, mouths open as if they were screaming. Marcus stumbled backward, slamming his shoulder against the door. Help! He yelled, banging on the metal. Guard! Somebody help me! No one came. The faces on the wall started to move toward him. They reached out, not with hands but with darkness itself, stretching, crawling. He backed into the corner and closed his eyes, muttering the words from the note. Don't listen to them, the walls lie. Then like a spark something changed. The voices stopped. The walls went still. The cold vanished. He opened his eyes. The cell was silent again, normal as if nothing had happened. He looked around, breathing hard. The words, the faces, even the note, gone. Only the same white concrete walls remained. Maybe it had all been in his head. Maybe the SHU had finally done what it was famous for, breaking another man's mind. He laughed weakly, running a shaking hand through his hair. You win, he muttered to the walls. I'm done fighting. But then he noticed something. Down on the floor, right where the note had been, new words had been scratched into the concrete. Fresh, jagged lines. Welcome to the others. Marcus stared, unable to move. His lips trembled. From outside, footsteps approached. A guard's voice echoed down the hallway. Cell 12, prepare for release. Your SHU time's over. Marcus didn't respond. He just kept staring at the words on the floor. When the door finally slid open, the guard stepped in and frowned. Reed? You good man? Marcus slowly turned his head. His eyes were calm now, too calm. He smiled faintly. Rule number 1, he whispered. Never stare too long at the corners. The guard blinked. What? Marcus looked past him to the far corner of the hallway where the shadows moved on their own. And under his breath, he whispered one last thing, something the walls had taught him. Some of us never leave the SHU. And as the guard led him out, the door to cell 12 slowly swung shut again. And from inside the empty cell, a faint knocking began. 3 taps. Pause. 2 taps.